Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to transition this call. The gentleman that you are about to hear from is our finance doctor. He has a PhD in finance and economics, and he is about to bring your RX for Forex. So I'm excited, and I'm actually going to turn this call over right now to the one, the only finance doctor, Dr. Craig Bythewood. Dr. Bythewood, are you on the line?
Yes, I am Miss Tasha M. Dyer. How are you this evening, Miss Dyer? How is everyone doing? The Be Your Own Bank movement community. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Thursday. As Miss Dyer eloquently stated, we have one more week in the month of June, and we want to make sure that we finish strong and get ready for a strong July. This is a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for Forex. So the reason why this whole June, July thing is significant to me is because of something that I witnessed today that I would like to briefly share. So my sister's in town with her beautiful 8-year-old daughter, my niece, and they live in a landlocked part of America, so they love the beach. So when they come down here, it's not about me. I'm just Motel Craig so that they can find a way to the different beaches in our area. So today they decided not to go to the beach because of rain. It's raining. It's raining. In fact, the prediction was 100% precipitation. Those of you that were on the call the other night know my history with precipitation and meteorology. But bottom line is this. As we were sitting there watching these torrential downpours and we were watching all of the rain, and one of the things I thought about was that my grass was kind of brown. So I was glad to see all of this rain because it was going to provide moisture to the plants and moisture to the trees. And it was going to allow all the seeds that have been planted to be able to begin to grow. So I think that's really what Ms. Dyer is telling you. What Ms. Dyer is telling you is we started this year off setting some intentions for ourselves as traders, setting some intentions for ourselves as a movement, setting some intentions for ourselves in terms of our ability to be able to master this skill set. I love the way in which we have gone so deep and we have really taken this material to another level by making sure that everyone walks out of here with layers. So all of these seeds that have been planted at the beginning of the year, now we're ready to storm. Now we're ready to bring moisture to this movement. Now we're ready to provide all of the nutrients that are necessary for us to continue to grow and continue to bloom. So I am so excited. Think about how many times in the past week someone has been presenting, someone has been educating, someone has been training, and they talked about a storm, and they talked about rain, they talked about power going out. So really, we're doing the opposite. Our power is coming in. We're putting ourselves in a position where we can really take advantage of this skill set. And like Ms. Dyer referenced, all three of us, Mr. Rogers, Ms. Dyer, and myself, at some point have made the comment, you only have to learn this once. And I know that there are people who are listening to me right now, whether it be live or recording, that are beginning to doubt yourself. They're looking at all the 777s and wondering why you're having issues. When if you just understand that's part of the process. Sometimes your lawn is going to be brown, but then boom, a storm is going to come and it's going to provide the necessary moisture and nutrients for you to get past where you are and get into green pastures. You just have to understand this. If you only have to learn this once, what is the only reason that keeps people from succeeding in this skill set? That's learning it 0 times. You stop. You put yourself in a position where you fall off. You begin not to plug in. And I know I'm preaching to the choir because you have to be plugged in order to hear what I'm saying. But what I'm really saying is I'm remotivating you. I'm re-energizing you. I'm inspiring you to do what Miss Dyer said. Make that committed decision. Some of you right now have already made the decision, but there's a little bit of self-doubt. And you need to understand that's what it's about. So I've got a car right outside. And this is so interesting because I have two cars. So blessed to have two vehicles. Well, I've got three teenage girls. I should have two cars, but I have two cars. And someone texted me and said, hey, I need you to bring me these uniforms. We're about to go to Chicago and Indianapolis for a tournament. And we have a new player. I need you to bring me some uniforms. Sure, I'll meet you at 6:15. And then when I went outside to meet the person, I realized I ain't have no car. My sister had one car, my daughter had another car. So unless I was gonna ride my bike, there was no way I was gonna meet that person, especially since I don't have a bike. What's your point, finance doctor? What does this have to do with trading? It has everything to do with trading. I set my intention that I was gonna go somewhere, but I wasn't able to go anywhere because I didn't have the vehicle. I didn't have the vehicle to be able to do it. I have two vehicles, but at that moment, I didn't have access to them. Watch this. We have two vehicles. We have the BYOB cash out strategy, and we have the BYOB HFX simplified. You have two vehicles. You just have to have access to them. How do you get access to the two vehicles? By doing what we've been saying for the past 7 months, by doing what I've been saying for the past 7 minutes, plugging in, taking advantage of the opportunity, utilize your vehicle. Can you imagine how I felt when I walked out of my house with an intention and I had 0 vehicles? How do you have 0 vehicles? By knowing about this, by being exposed to this and dropping off. Decide not to plug in, doubting yourself. This is a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for Forex. So for the benefit of those of you who may be new or maybe listening to this recording for the first time, let me in proper order describe and define the parameters of this call. This is the only call that we have that is a conversation. All of our calls are chart-based. Therefore, questions go in the chat. But this is a talk with the finance doctor rather than a talk from the finance doctor, because we're taking advantage of the fact that this is the only forum where you can benefit by this fact about society. Personal finance, ladies and gentlemen, is the only area of our society where the individuals who teach you about the personal financial products just happen to be the same individuals who are giving you the information about it. If I want to know about an insurance product, who am I talking to? An insurance salesman. If I want to understand where to put my money and how to manage it and what my different options are, who am I talking to? A financial advisor. And if you know anything about the way this market works and the way this system works, especially in America, advisor is a term that we use to disguise the fact that it is a salesperson. It is someone who is being paid by commission. I'm cool with commission. Commission makes this world a better place. It provides an incentive-driven capitalistic society which provides economic benefit to many and makes people operate on incentives. I'm cool with that. What I have an issue with is us not being aware that it's commission-based. I've been a financial planner for almost 30 years. And one of the things that I always do is I always teach people to ask this question. How are you compensated? How are you compensated is sometimes the most important question you can ask because it puts you in a position of strength. Example, if I'm getting my car fixed, I always ask, how are you compensated? Because if you're compensated by salary, what you're going to say to me is going to be different than if you're compensated by percent of sales. So however many services you have, if you get paid more, then you have an incentive to sell me more services. So I'm okay with whatever an organization decides to do to compensate their employees. Freedom of speech, freedom of capital, freedom of economic infrastructure. I'm with that. I just feel like I need to know. So I'm only saying that to reinforce the point. What a wonderful scenario we have here where we can ask the kind of questions that make us be able to be in control of the data. in control of the infrastructure, control of the way things work. So the Be Your Own Bank movement is about that. It's about being your own bank. So one of the ways in which you become your own bank is to ask the questions that are going to put you in a position of strength when you're managing money, when you're dealing with the financial institutions that run our world. So I'm going to tell you a quick story that you may have heard before, but I'm feeling that it's relevant in this moment. When I was in graduate school at the University of Florida, I had a PhD. I was studying for a PhD in both finance and economics. So I was in both departments. Well, the economics department had a guest speaker, and this guest speaker was a gentleman named Dr. Woodruff, and he was supposed to be one of the most prominent economists at that time. It was a big deal. Dudes that wore jeans every day, they put on blazers, you know the blazers with the little elbow, little patch on the elbow. So they got dressed up. So bottom line is, we went into this auditorium and we listened to Dr. Woodruff. And Dr. Woodruff said, in the 1700s, when this country was founded, there was a definite decision, a deliberate intention to make finance, accounting, and economics difficult on purpose so that only a small amount of people could understand it. Now, I know how everybody else reacted, but how I reacted was, and I've been thinking about that ever since, because I wasn't there in the 1700s. I don't know if that really happened, but I do know this. I know that approximately 9% of the people in our world control 92% of the economic resources. Let me say it again. 9% of the people in our world control 92% of the economic resources. So what a wonderful environment we're in, that we can study red folders. And I was so excited that day when Miss Dyer clicked on the button and was able to see what the red photos. Let me be real for a second. So I'm sharp, I'm exposed, I have a terminal degree, but I'm not like her. When I go to softwares, I don't push on buttons. I need somebody to tell me. I need her to say, this is how you clone, and this is where you are. Sometimes when y'all say, well, how'd you do that? What button did you push? I'm sitting there like, well, tell them so I can find out. That's just not my style to be able to pick up on that. So I said all that just to say this, that I know that this is a situation where right now we can look at that data and we can think about the fact that we are learning this skill set. We're learning this skill set to a deeper level. We're actually clicking on the folders and we're finding out what's going on. That's something that I never would have thought about. I've been looking at FX Street and Forex Factory for years, but I never thought to click open thing. So this isn't about Miss Dyer being smarter than me, even though she is. What this is about is this. Those vehicles that were not in my driveway are so powerful, and they would have given me the opportunity to go wherever I wanted and to do whatever I needed at that moment. And I didn't really realize how important they were until they weren't there. I was so quick to text, oh yeah, I'll meet you at 6:05, but I didn't have the power because I didn't have the vehicle. Now watch this. Because we operate in a collective, because we operate as a movement, because we're doing this together, there's going to be some things that she sees that I don't see. There are going to be some things that I see that she doesn't see. There are going to be some things that Mr. Rogers sees that we don't see. So the beautiful thing about this movement, the beautiful thing about this perfect storm that's brewing right here is we literally have the opportunity to build on each other. I'm the economist. I'm the expert. I'm the dude that does this every Tuesday and Thursday. But I didn't know that you could click on the little button and see an explanation of the folders. I'm not embarrassed. I'm just happy that I'm operating in a movement where we all can learn from one another. So I could do this for another 15 minutes, but I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions, comments, or testimonies. So in lieu of any questions, comments, or testimonies, there's something that I'd like to share with you that I think is very interesting. I had a conversation with a loved one recently, and the loved one explained to me that they live somewhere where there's a particular type of activity they participate in. And when you do that, it's free. The activity is free. Then they went somewhere else and that same activity was not free. So when they got to that activity that wasn't free, they had an issue with having to pay for something they weren't used to. So they decided that they were going to not pay for it and they were going to extend their transportation to this particular place and then have to walk a number of blocks to not have to pay. Now, this was not about ability to pay. And when I asked the question to the loved one said, well, the reason why I'm not paying is because I'm not used to it. So we had a real deep conversation about how subtle little areas of lack are. Because I asked the question, I said, well, what would have been the maximum amount that you would have paid had you gone to this event for 8 hours? And the answer was $22. And the person responded again, it ain't about the money. It's about the fact that I'm not used to doing that. Where I'm from, we don't pay for that. Now, I made this comparison. I said, well, where you're from, you have to pay a state income tax, as in STATE, state. And I said, you also have to pay municipal taxes, meaning the taxes that go toward the particular city or county that you live in. But in the state of Florida, because we're a state that does two things. One, we want to attract retirees. So we don't have any local taxes. We don't have any state taxes because retirees that have been working their entire life, it's a benefit for them to want to come here because they save on their tax bill. And then we also like to attract workers for our big tourism industry. So that's one of our selling points. Come to this state, there's no income tax, there's no state income tax, there's no municipal income tax. So when I broke that down to the person realized, okay, wait a minute. I'm tripping over $22 when I'm actually paying $2,200 more where I live. So I don't have to pay for that, but I do have to pay for this. So what I'm saying, and the reason why I'm making this point, is because one of the things that we've been saying consistently, BYOBers, is we have to be a vibrational match to the wealth and abundance that we're about to get. We have to be a vibrational match to the wealth and abundance that you're going to get. Now, sometimes I put myself in a better position to mentor and coach someone when I tell them my story, Miss Brownlee, when I tell them something, Miss Anderson, that's snatched from the headlines of my life, because then they realize I'm not talking at them, I'm talking with them. So I'm going to do that right now, so you don't think I'm judging that person. But before I tell you the backstory, let me say this. The reason why I was making this point, because I wanted this person to recognize that they were walking in lack. Because if you're walking in abundance, you don't think about what you have to pay. You don't think about what the fees are. You just think about what you want to do. You think about what your desires are. And then when you walk in that desire, then all of the fees get paid for. Everything that happens the exact way that you want it to. So with that in mind, this is my story. This happened 12 years ago. Exactly 12 years ago. I was in Miami and I was walking on one of these beautiful streets and there were all of these beautiful boats and there was this huge yacht. And I remember that the yacht was about the same color as my outfit. Beautiful yacht. And I said this, oh, y'all, can we keep it real tonight? And I said this. I said, I don't understand why people buy stuff like that. That's so unnecessary. They could have taken that same money and they could have gave it to the community. After I said that, the person that I was with looked me dead in my eyes, just like this, and said, when you walk in abundance, you can do both. Ooh. Now, the funny thing about this is I don't even remember that guy. I don't even see myself thinking like that. That's such a small-minded way of thinking of the world, to think that it has to be either or. I say this all the time. I am a former professor. Why am I a former professor? Because the university system does not pay me what I'm worth, not even anywhere near it. But when I was a professor, I used to be in a situation, excuse me, where I understood that the way in which I was compensated was nowhere near what I was worth. And I noticed something else. I noticed that, think about it now, my PhD is in finance and economics. And I noticed that finance people and economics people are very different. And the only reason why I know that is simply because I happen to be a person that got his doctorate at a place where the two departments were adjoined. So economics PhD students took the same finance classes we took, and finance students took the same classes as economics students, but they're two different departments. So I had interactions with the finance guys and I had interactions with the economist guys. Now watch this, because I'm going somewhere with this analogy. I noticed there was a distinct difference in the way the finance people carried themselves and the way the economist people carried themselves. Now, remember, I just told the story. The economists were excited because Dr. Woodruff was coming to speak. And they actually put on blazers, something that they normally don't do. But yet the finance people, they wear blazers every day. They just are suited and booted. That was their uniform. So finance and economics are really two sides of the same coin. Well, why is it different? Before I tell you why it's different, let me give you a little bit more background. When you walk into the parking lot, I say walk because I literally lived right across the street in a studio apartment. When you walk into the parking lot of the School of Business at the University of Florida, the economists or the people in the economics department park here because their door is there, and the finance people park over here because their door is right there. So when you go in the part of the parking lot where the economists are, every single car is dusty. I'm talking Volkswagens, I'm talking Mazdas, I'm talking, excuse me, Pacers, Oldsmobiles, just old cars. There may not have been a single new car in the economist side of the parking lot. Then you go in the finance part of the parking lot, and it's not nice cars because they're still professors, but they're newer and they're clean and they have nice rims, and they may be Hondas and they may be Nissans, and there may be a couple of BMWs and a couple of Mercedes, but it's night and day looking at the cars over here and the cars over here. Now stop for a second. One of the things we have to do, y'all, is we have to recognize how valuable it is that we have an awareness of what's going on. This is an observation I never would have seen if I didn't happen to live in a studio apartment across the street. If I was driving my car into the parking lot, I may not have noticed it. But because my apartment happened to be right in front of these two areas, I was able to see this dichotomy for 5 years. So then when you go into the department, it's totally different. Finance, you got couches, you got all kind of nice furniture. In the economics department, you've got a wooden chair and you've got a picture of a flower. It's just no decorum. Now, why is it different? Let me explain. What is finance? Finance is the study of analyzing money coming in versus money going out. I appreciate the compliment Mr. Rogers gave me the other day when he said that I have a gift for being able to take complex situations and break it down. That is exactly what I try to do. That is exactly what I do. So bottom line is, that's my definition of finance. Anything that is analyzing finance is either looking at the amount of money that's coming into an organization, or it's looking at the amount of money that's going out of the organization. I said personal finance. What's personal finance? You're either analyzing ways to get money, or you're analyzing ways to spend money or put money. It's always money coming in and money going out. So it is a study of analyzing what's happening financially. It's fiscal responsibility. It's looking at the transactions that take place between money coming in and money going out. Think about it. If you don't have any money, there's nothing to analyze. So by definition, the topic, by definition, finance involves money. The CFO has a pretty slow day if there's no money. There's nothing to analyze. Now watch this. Watch this. Economics is a class that I've been teaching since I was 22 years old. I taught my first economics class at 22. And when you teach economics, the first thing you have to do is you have to go into class and you have to give the definition of economics. So I gave the definition of economics, and this is what I said. Hello, class. Welcome to macroeconomics, or hello, class. Welcome to microeconomics, or hello, class. I want to be thorough. Welcome to principles of economics. Let me begin by defining economics. Economics is the study of how to satisfy unlimited wants with limited resources. Some of y'all missed it. Some of y'all missed it. Economics is the study of analyzing how to satisfy unlimited wants with limited resources. So by definition, people who study economics are already coming from a place of lack. They're already looking at it from a place of what you don't have. My resources are limited. They're limited. They're limited. So if you spend your entire life thinking about limited resources, guess what your experience will be? Limited resources. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Thank you, King Solomon. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if the economists are thinking about limited resources, then they're going to walk in lack. They're going to have those little patches on their corduroy blazers, and they only have one blazer. They're going to have dusty cars. Think about it. How many economists? Okay, let's keep it real. Many of y'all went to college. I want you to think about one economics professor you know that was rich. I want you to tell me one economics professor you know that was rich. It doesn't exist. They're not rich, but they don't realize it. They're not making a decision not to be rich. They just happen to be studying a paradigm day in and day out that's based on limited resources. So how about you check yourself right now and you ask yourself, which side of the parking lot are you on? Are you thinking about lack? Are you thinking about not wanting to pay? Are you thinking about walking 3 blocks instead of paying $22? Are you thinking about all the things you don't have? Are you thinking about what you don't deserve? Are you thinking about what you haven't had? Or are you putting yourself in a position of financial strength and financial abundance? Let me think about what I have. Let me think about what I'm going to spend. Let me think about what I'm going to get. They're the same exact subject, but they're looked at from 2 different perspectives. Finance looks at it from a perspective of what you have, and economics looks at it from a perspective of what you don't have. And any of you that have ever taken a finance class and an economics class, you know I'm telling the truth. I wasn't at your campus, but I already know the finance professor dressed way better than the economics professor. Why? Because they're studying and implanting in their subconscious brain lack, lack, lack. Is limited, is limited, is limited. And if that's what you think, that will be your experience. This has been a talk with the finance doctor. Questions, comments, and testimony. Questions, comments, and testimonies. Okay.
Yeah, this is no, I was gonna say this was real good talk. Real good talk. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, just listening to you and the way you breaking it down is so real. It just make a lot of sense. And you know, I'm coming from the world where I'm a security officer and whatnot, been basically doing mundane things, my jobs has been, not too big entailed or whatever. But just grasping this here, I see the vision and whatnot, and I'm excited about it. And I'm just, I'm feeling this for real.
I appreciate that, Mr. Harrison. I really do. I really do. And just remember, whatever you put on the other side of that I am is going to be your reality. The human brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So you start referring to yourself on what you know your future is going to be. And that's all it takes for us to continue, for you to continue to get what you know you deserve. Thank you for that, Mr. Harrison. Questions, comments, testimonies? Okay, do either one of my business partners want to make any comments before we close out our week?
I'm just still trying to figure out why you meet somebody at 6:05 and not 6 o'clock. I don't know. No, but I mean, tonight was just powerful, It was really a powerful call. I mean, literally, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And as we get ready to close out, as we get ready to push forward, we're going to close out this week strong. I mean, I think this was the perfect setting, the perfect call to kind of press us forward because we have to reevaluate and check our goals. We have to reevaluate and understand where we are because we made a decision. And then that decision requires commitment, it requires dedication, it requires focus, and it's going to require us to rise higher and operate on a frequency of what we desire. So this was just perfect tonight. So I just want everybody to shift and get focused.
Thank you for that, Ms. Dyer. And I had a 5 o'clock meeting, so I was trying to give myself a cushion to finish my meeting.
I got you.
to the drop-off spot. Questions, comments, testimonies from anyone else?
Dr. B, once again, you are always extending the litmus test of understanding. And all of us come from a thought process of limited beliefs. And when we place limitation on ourselves, we really live up to that expectation. So everything we do, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, and you heard it from the best of the best in Dr. Blythewood, understanding, are you an economist or are you a finance major? Do you operate with limited things trying to stretch your dollar? Are you looking at finance and understanding that you have vehicles in place that allow you to live the abundant life because you were purposed and you were gifted and graced with the skill set and, most importantly, the vehicle and then the guide of individuals like a Tasha M. Dyer, the trade whisperer, and the finance doctor himself. So the question is real easy tonight. Economist or finance? That is the question. BYOB Bank Movement, it's about understanding the finance aspect because we live in a world of unlimited resources. Being plugged in, you have access to nearly $11 trillion per day. So when you understand what the economists are saying, there's nothing wrong, there's no resources because resources are limited. The mindset determines the outcomes and the results. Back to you, Dr. Blythewood.
Thank you for that, Mr. Rogers. I appreciate that. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to have a great week. And we expect to close this month out strong, and we ask that you continue to bless and anoint us and bless and anoint this movement to do just that. Please bless every single family that is represented by, oh my God, by every single, let's please bless every single rectangle that's blessed, oh my God. Let's take every single family that is represented by every single rectangle on this Zoom call. And please just protect their family and allow them to walk in abundance. Heavenly Father, we are thankful, we are appreciative, and we are grateful. Amen. Y'all know that was Satan that called. All right, y'all take care. And this was officially in this call. I played too much.